All right. Hopefully this is better. We lowered the quality of our output video as much as we could. Hopefully that'll help with the Wi-Fi. That seems to be doing okay.
All right, yeah, that looks a little
It's all
better.
right, yeah.
Okay, anyway, we are back, everyone.
Yeah.
And it seems like
I'm
the thing
so
that's
sorry.
on. Yeah, sorry about
Why don't
that.
you go ahead and retweet the link
Oh yeah,
to this.
I will go ahead and retweet the link to this. But the thing that's on everyone's minds right now is obviously the that fourth Vegas goal and the kick.
It was that kicked-in goal for sure.
All right, let's start. What do you think, Dylan?
Okay, cool. Way better. Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, so it was really hard because it was the other end of the ice from where we were. So it was really hard to see it live. And then they never wanted to replay it, which, we took as a sign that, hey, then it's probably not good for Vegas because they don't want to show this.
Right.
So to us, they only showed one replay. It was at full speed, and it was from, what angle was it? It was like from a camera up on the Jumbotron, it was the behind the net upper camera, and they did it at like full speed, and it was the one angle where you couldn't see anything.
Right,
and
it was blocked by a player coming across.
And that was all they showed us, but it was obvious even from that his foot was making a motion. Now, I guess they were saying he just turned it to redirect it, but it looked like it was making the motion while already touching the puck, which I would think would then count as a kicking motion.
Right.
You're moving,
and it came off
if you're
the
moving
ground.
your skate, if you're moving
it reminded
your skate
me of one of those little.
contacting
It reminded
the
me of one of those little outside of the foot kind of short area soccer kicks that soccer players will make a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely seemed aware of where the puck was. It was just an outward kick, which, again, you don't see that as often with what this rule is. Usually it's a kick with the inside of the skate, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're prepared to deal with one where it's the outside of the skate. I think that kind of threw, the officials off a little bit.
Yeah. And then, it's one of those, right? We see it all the time in all the sports that have, like, replay. Whatever's called on the ice in this case, you need really clear-cut evidence, and I guess they just didn't see it in Toronto. Like I said, we didn't see it because they just wouldn't show us a replay, but which we thought was a good sign. We were all ready for it to be overturned.
Especially with how quick the review went. I mean, they didn't spend a lot of time looking at it either.
No, they didn't. But, that one was unfortunate because, Geeky had just scored that huge goal, tied the game up. That was an awesome goal too.
That snipe!
It happened right
my
in front
goodness.
of us. It looked amazing. Geeky getting it done just like he has been all camp and preseason. So that was good to see. Hey everybody, see lots of good stuff in the
Tyler.
chat.
Hey JMG.
But yeah, it's a tough loss. It's a tough way to lose a game. But at the same time, we have to be happy with the effort. Right, down 2-0, not even 10 minutes into the game, battle back. Tied up at 3 in the third period like that. And then, rough call, fluky play, whatever you want to call it is, ultimately what ends up beating you. But the guys showed, a ton of heart staying in the game. They never stopped, wanting to forecheck hard. They never wanted to stop playing their game. It's just, they were playing the best team in hockey last year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is something we have to remember.
No team got more points than Vegas last year, and that's, I think, what the takeaway has to be is, they gave a very good team a very close game. And, especially with everything that was kind of falling apart in the beginning, as you might expect from an expansion team coming out to start. But, for the last, say, 50 minutes of the game, 40 minutes of the game, I think Seattle was probably the better team.
Yeah, and lots of you guys also acknowledging the great effort from them tonight.
Yeah, made Vegas sweat. I like that.
Yep. And yeah, Seattle was superior in a lot of, most of the game as far as, at least from what we could tell, counting stat-wise, shots on goal, that kind of stuff. They had that huge lead through that first period. And one of the things you and I mentioned after those two quick Vegas goals that they scored was, was it, again, kind of like that very first preseason game where Grubauer didn't quite, get enough action to get into a rhythm right away, and so he got beat a little bit early. And that was again kind of the case here, where the Kraken poured on. They were like 6-0 shots on goal to start the game. Grubauer's just chilling at the other end, and then all of a sudden super high danger chance, and maybe just wasn't. He was getting a little cold back there.
And that's something that he talked about a lot in training camp when we had the interviews with him, was how important it is to get in that rhythm early. And that's what he loved about the Kraken's final preseason game, where against the Canucks, where they gave up a lot of shots early, and some of them were high danger scoring chances right off the bat. But I think a lot of goalies actually kind of like that. It gets them into the game early. It settles them into a rhythm. It's kind of, as long as it doesn't go in, it's like a kind of a, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger type of thing. And he just didn't have that opportunity this game. And the first one's tough. He was, a little bit off his angle, but it's tough at the first one. Okay, Cheap Seat, which one of you has lost more money so far?
0. We had very short turnaround between getting into Vegas, checking into the hotel, grabbing some food, and then getting over to the game.
So I guess, I don't know, my lunch cost more than yours did, I guess.
Yeah,
so that would be me then.
So RJ,
I got a Reuben, he had a slice of pizza, so.
Yeah, we'll see. The other thing, though, that I really want to talk about, and, I'm not going to say it's the worst decision in the world, but it's definitely probably not the best decision, which is to roll out there with 3 defensive pairings that basically saw no time together in the preseason.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was an issue. That was an issue on the very first goal. It was clear that Larson and Alexiak did not, their chemistry wasn't there. It looked like they were both confused as to who was going to take the man coming down the slot there, and then neither kind of did. And that was, a little rough to see. We saw later Jeremy Lauzon with Vince Dunn on, I think it was the 3rd Golden Knights goal, the one where they're both playing the same side of the ice. Dunn's down in the corner, Lauzon's over onto that side as well, and then Lauzon just kind of puck chases it around. Meanwhile, the Golden Knights essentially have 2 people right in front of Grubauer. So again, that one was a little difficult and tough to watch, but at the end of the day, it was just odd. We didn't see these pairings at all, and it felt like they didn't all have chemistry with each other.
Right. I mean, Giordano Fleury was the one we saw the most of, and that one probably played the best in this game, or at least the least. They looked the least out of sorts. Did we bet on the game? No, we didn't bet on the game.
No. And how loud was it in the arena? That is arguably the loudest arena I've ever been in. Again, though, not because of the crowd, but because of the just the PA system and stuff. Everything, you feel it in your chest. But it was a lot of fun. Morgan Geeky pick regraded, please. Come on, RJ.
Okay. I'll give it. I'm thinking B+ or A. I feel okay, fine. It's an A. It's an A.
He had the best goal of the night from either team. It was a sick snipe.
Okay. Yeah, he's looked fantastic from the beginning of training camp. I mean, you say, I could see him hitting 40 or more points. It wouldn't surprise me, especially, if you have an injury somewhere at center, or, he's able to play higher up in the lineup. He has the talent to get it done, as he showed. And just what a clutch goal, too. And he knows what he's capable of too. On that play where he was taking it to the zone, he was skating it a little bit slower than I would have liked. I'm like, are you going to drive to the net? What are you doing here? And then he just unleashes that shot. Okay, you know what you're doing here.
Yeah, he just saw that he had that opening over Leonard's shoulder, and he took it, and it was great. The one thing I liked about that was I really liked the wingers he had. A couple. What was it? Not the last podcast, but I think the one before, I talked about how I really thought Marcus Johansson and Donskoy should be on a line together, and I had said they should be with Geeky. They actually played with Wenberg, but I still want to see them with Geeky because I just think they play that style. But it was clear that Johansson and Donskoy clearly had chemistry together. They were on the same wavelength. I'm still kind of waiting to see it from Wenberg. He missed the first part of camp and those first couple preseason games. He had one really good defensive play where he totally picked the pocket of a Golden Knights player. I didn't catch which Golden Knight it was.
He could have prevented a goal there.
And that one was awesome. But I just feel like he's a little more passive in the offensive zone than they are as his wingers. And it just looks a little off to me. But,
yeah. Okay, I got a minute. Ryan Donato, immortal Seattle sports legend. We've got to talk about Ryan Donato, right?
Yeah.
First goal in Kraken franchise history, and I've got to say, I am glad that it was him. Watching him, it's such a great story. Watching him through training camp, and he's a guy who probably the last chance of his career, realistically. If he doesn't make it here, that's it. He knew that, the Kraken knew that, but they took a chance on him and they put him in a position to succeed from day one, and he rewarded them with the first goal in franchise history, and he's an impact player for them so far.
Yeah, and he did it doing something that he started to show towards the end of the preseason there, where he was trying to be a net front presence, and it worked, right? He's able to get in there. He's not the tallest guy, but he's pretty stocky. He's 6 foot 192 is what he's listed at. Having maybe a little bit of a lower center of gravity compared to a big bruising defenseman. Having that lower body strength, I think, helps him out there. And at the end of the day, he's just kind of got that grit and determination, and then the hands to finish when he does get those opportunities. So, yeah, he looks pretty good, and I think they definitely could use him more on the power play. I'd like to see maybe him and Eberle switch. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and put Donato up there on that top line. Yeah. Wish Soucy was in. Yeah, it would have been nice to see him. I thought Lauzon had a pretty rough game. We'll say it. Yeah. I didn't really notice any great plays from him. It seemed like every time I noticed him, it was for something not so great. So yeah, I would have liked to see Soucy in instead of Lauzon. I think the D pairs will be changed. They were kind of changing them up as towards the end of that game there. It felt like at times
they were,
and I think that's going to be something they're going to look to change before Nashville. As far as McCann looking maybe a little bit scrambled, I thought in the first period he might have gotten a little banged up and hurt. He skated off the ice after a shift, kind of slow, like he just coasted to the bench while the play was still going on, which is usually a sign that a player is hurt or injured in some way. So I don't know if he was hurt. He didn't miss a shift.
No. But that's one of those things in hockey where you'll get guys that are banged up, and it could even be something like that to you or me would be fairly serious, and they won't miss a shift, and it'll just kind of stay quiet and they'll play through it. So that's certainly a possibility.
But yes, it did feel that he was maybe chasing the play a little bit at times in the offensive zone rather than creating it himself. He didn't look like the kind of confident guy that we saw through some of those preseason games centering that top line. That confidence didn't translate to this game, but again, it might just be because he got banged up early on, and it was just hard to shake that for the rest of the night.
So we get a few comments about the Tanev breakaway. We got to talk about that. I thought, it just seemed perfect, right? Shorthanded goal, fan favorite Brandon Tanev, first goal in Kraken franchise history. I was kind of sitting up out of my seat. I really thought it was meant to be, but sadly, no. Leonard did play the breakaway really well.
That, and, Tanev, I think, made one move too many, right? Like, there are times where enough is enough. You got to just kind of go for it. But I always feel like when a player is, charging head on towards the net and they're making moves, getting the goalie confused, and then they just kind of drift off to the side rather than like a sharp turn that really opens up the legs, I always feel like that's when you just know it's over, because if you're not getting the goalie to open up his legs because he has to quickly follow your movement, if you just kind of try to drift to the side and do something nifty in the NHL, maybe every goalie besides Martin Jones is going to get that.
Yeah,
a shot at the old Sharks goalie there.
There you go. When Yarncrook comes back, who's coming out of the lineup?
I don't know. It kind of feels like Bastian right now.
He was. I looked through 2 periods, and he was kind of far and away the guy with the least amount of ice time on the Kraken. I didn't see what the final ice time total was, if that, if that stuck. But yeah, probably Bastian, because he's a winger.
Yeah, I just think that's. Yeah, and they didn't. I don't know. He didn't make an impact tonight the way he had during the preseason, and I guess that's a product of playing against a full NHL lineup, a really really good NHL lineup, right, in Vegas. So yeah, I think it's probably going to be Bastion, but I do want to see Yarncrook back because I think he could help with some of the, we didn't see a lot of the two-way play from the forwards that we kind of thought we would. There was some times there, especially after those two quick Vegas goals, where I felt like the forwards they were trying too hard to back check, if that's possible. I know obviously you want that effort on the back check, but it just felt like they were so focused on the back check that they completely ignored things offensively. And I feel like someone like Yarncroke is really good at being able to play solid, sound defense, but also know how to, create that transition game out of there and not have to be so zeroed in on it.
Yeah. We got to talk quickly about the Leonard guarantee. The game needs more players like him. I think no matter who the opponent was, he was going to say something like that. I think it's all in good fun, and it's something that we get to talk about, right? It's fun. And hey, I mean, they did win.
Yeah, they did win, but it took, as Crazy Joe's bringing up again, that kind of controversial, was there a kicking motion? Was there not? Again, they didn't show us replay in the arena, really, so it's hard for us to say. We'll hop on and look at it later, but, it seemed like there was some movement there while the skate was still touching the puck.
Yeah.
Awesome, by the way, on getting the Tanev jersey tonight.
Love that. After that, too, after a breakaway miss, but I love the commitment. It's great.
But you know what? Overall, he played with a ton of energy, just like we expect from him. Forechecks hard, back checks hard. He's just kind of got that special something that you look for, and that comes up big in big moments, right? We saw that from him last year in the playoffs for the Penguins. He could just kind of create something against that Islanders team that was really good at just grinding you into nothing. But you know what, when the Penguins needed him, he was always there to try to kickstart things again. So I look forward to him doing that for the Kraken moving forward. Drieger in net for Thursday, you think?
I would. I think, you have this goalie tandem with two really good goalies, and I think you want to get them both involved as quickly as you can. And, unless, Grubauer comes and gets a shutout here, or, but that wasn't the case. And I just think you want to get both guys involved. I think the longer that you have someone just kind of sitting there and not getting reps early in the season, the worse it's going to be. So, yeah, I'd start him on Thursday, and not as in any kind of indictment to Grubauer, just, you have a good goalie tandem. Let's use them both.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of predicted that before the season start, that both of them might see, 35-ish games plus. Talking about the horrendous pass game, don't know what happened between Vancouver and Vegas. I think that was just, again, kind of a byproduct of those two quick Golden Knights goals. I felt like that kind of got to the team a little bit for the rest of that first period, because before that, I mean, they were just pouring on the pressure like crazy, and everything was working. Everything looked really good. It just was one of those things where it was like, Leonard was coming up big when he needed to, right? The Golden Knights were blocking some key shots, but it was one of those, you just felt like, okay, well, if they're going to play like this, it's going to happen eventually.
Yep.
But I think those two quick goals, like I said, the forwards started really focusing on, back checking, playing defense, trying to shut things down and stop the bleeding, and they got very... I think a little timid as far as taking offensive chances. They didn't want to give up breakaways again, right? Because that was part of the problem with those two quick goals. They were a little worried about that, I think. But again, I think part of that was also to blame was just those defensive pairings. These guys weren't quite used to playing with each other, and I think it showed on some of those.
Yeah. You make a good point, Aaron. I think a lot of the Kraken games are going to be close like this tonight, close, scrappy. You're going to need timely saves from Grubauer and Drieger, and I do think that is something that maybe was missing a little bit today. I thought Grubauer was fine, but there were maybe a couple of the goals that you'd think a timely save there would have been good.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about before the season when we were kind of predicting where they might finish standings wise, and I said I could see this team having 10 to 15 overtime losses, which is a lot, but it's also not unrealistic. But I just feel like it's one of those, they're going to be in every game that they play, and part of that is going to be because of the goalies.
Yeah. Let's see. I thought PK, Geeky, and Donskoy's puck handling were highlights. Defensive coordination transitions were growth areas. Any individual players that stand out to you?
Tanev's energy stood out, but also part of that's just the sweet flow he's got. Larson always stands out to me, but I'm just becoming a broken record with my man crush there. Lauzon was the biggest guy who stood out. Again, not a positive there. I thought Giordano played a really good game. I thought Hayden Fleury played pretty good considering the amount of ice time he got. We weren't really
I was impressed
expecting
with
that,
him.
but he stepped up and handled that. I think he needs to, head on a swivel a little bit more in their own zone. There was a couple times where Golden Knights could get behind him a little bit. Nothing disastrous happened though. Hayden Fleury stood out a lot to me.
That would be my pick.
I'm trying to think forward-wise. Donskoy was all over the place. Plays power play, plays the PK.
In a good way.
Yeah, he's awesome. Not in the Mason Appleton.
I was just thinking that in the Mason Appleton
way.
way.
What wing is he playing? Yeah, no. Donskoy played a really, really solid game. Happy to see that from him.
Alexiak with the first penalty. I was noting that. I'm like, hey, Dylan, first penalty in franchise history. And of course, it's the big rig Alexiak. He had some big hits. In the game. That was fun to see. And
it took him a little while to get going with those, but by the third period, he was really laying it on them. It was fun to watch.
He's tough to play against. You don't want to be on the receiving end of one of those.
Yeah, I think they did kind of take, Vegas's style and throw it back a little. The one thing that Vegas had on them was that transition game. Vegas is, they've got that kind of perfect blend of size and speed. They know how to play physical, but they know how to beat you with their skates as well. And if, that was the problem in that first period that led to those 2 goals was if they got a block shot or if they got a steal, they picked off a pass, they have, they know exactly what they're doing as far as attacking the other end. Their defensemen activate a lot to join rushes, or they'll they pinch up a lot in the offensive zone to keep possessions going. That's something that we've talked about. There kind of needs to be someone more than just Vince Dunn on the Kraken that might do that from time to time. Alexiak tried that at one point.
Yeah, he did,
and it was okay, but A for effort. But yeah, maybe Giordano. That's where maybe if Will Borgen can crack the lineup at some point,
he
can
could
get
bring
something done that way. Yeah.
Broadcast wanted more physicality from both teams. What do you think?
I mean, I understand where that's coming from. It definitely wasn't the hardest hitting game I've ever been to.
And having watched, obviously I haven't seen any Kraken regular season games before this one, but having watched a number of Vegas Golden Knights games before this one, there are certain ones that kind of just go in that really physical direction, and this one just didn't, which I don't particularly mind. It was close, but yeah, I don't have a problem with the level of physicality.
Yeah, it felt appropriate. It never felt like, it kind of felt like it at the end of that first period that maybe the Kraken were letting Vegas dictate play, but for the rest of the game, it felt very much like Seattle was comfortable trying to establish their game, and I thought that they were effective at doing that for certainly, the second half of the second period and the first half of the third period when they were, obviously they were scoring, but it just felt like they were really comfortable and really confident in what it was that they wanted to do. Eberle came so close a couple times at the beginning and again at the end. Yeah, he had a couple of close calls. That's one of those. He's a goal scorer. We knew that coming in. He was, the odds-on favorite to lead the Kraken in goals, and they'll come for him. But he played a good game. I just love the way he forechecks. He doesn't use his body. He uses his stick, and he's so disruptive. And that's something, Vegas did and capitalized on those first 2 goals. Kraken started to do later with their first 2 goals, right? Disrupt in the defensive zone, try to get turnovers, get the defense looking around for the puck, right? Make them uncomfortable. That makes the goalie uncomfortable. And that's how you can make stuff happen. Just go ahead, crash the net a little bit, try to get stuff going.
How different is this game if they score on that first power play? I think it's a very different game just because they had all the momentum coming out. And I just, you don't go down 2-0. I don't think Vegas, you got them on their heels. And it's hard to project beyond that because you don't know, maybe Vegas, comes by and
about
gets
58 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a very different game, but exactly how, I don't know.
And I will say, if they were playing a team other than Vegas, I would say that it might have a really big impact where it could really, I don't want to say emotionally cripple a team, right? They're all professional athletes that can get over stuff like that. But I do think it would affect a lot of other teams. It's just,
the Golden Knights aren't going away, even if they give up that goal. All
right. Yes, all the geeky love. We're here for it.
Where were our seats? We were in section 17 in the lower bowl on the Kraken shoot twice side, about 20 rows up.
Yeah, not quite the corner, but close. We were still parallel to the ice. They were good. It seemed like we won most of the early face-offs.
What'd you notice on face-offs, Dylan?
Well,
you watch those closer than I do usually.
Yeah, well, I mean, geeky, okay? Like, that was the thing about him. I know. This will be the last time, I promise. But that was one of the things and he won some good offensive zone face-offs. Yeah, again, the Kraken, they were establishing themselves early and often, especially in that first period. They did win a lot of face-offs. I think towards the end, it seemed like they were getting tossed a lot more. That was the one thing I noticed. All of a sudden, you had like Marcus Johansson, you had Donskoy, I think, took a face-off at one point later on there, and it was just one of those things. Just click.
Okay. Ooh, thank you, Braun Inslee.
Yes, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate your Twitter and doing stuff like this. I can feel how you guys love this, and I do too. I also want to publicly announce love for Geeky. Yes, again, all the geeky love. We are here for it. Thank you so much. That we really, really appreciate that. Yep. That means a lot to us. And then another one from Skull741. I think the team showed a lot of promise tonight. I think when Yanni Gourde comes back, we could be a very good squad. 100% agree. I think if Yanni Gourde's out there tonight, things probably are different.
Yeah.
He brings that two-way play that, I think we could safely say the Lightning missed tonight, probably.
Yep.
A little bit when they let that Penguin squad beat them up 6-2. But yeah, I think once Yanni Gourde comes back, they'll be able to settle in, I think, a little bit as far as what their forward line combinations are going to be. And once that happens, chemistry builds, confidence in each other builds, that, sixth sense of knowing exactly where everyone's going to be, all that stuff, can fall into place. And it sounds like he's coming back sooner rather than later.
Yes.
So.
I mean, watching him and getting a sense from training camp, I would not be surprised if he comes back before Halloween. I mean, I'm thinking October as far as his return, and it's going to be a huge boost. I mean, if any of you who've been lucky enough to, go to training camp and see him, like, it's magnetic on the ice. Your eye is always drawn to him. He's just got that much energy, so he's a joy to watch, and I'm looking forward to getting him back.
Yes, and again, thank you for the super chat. That means a lot.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Not impressed with Espen's coverage. Yeah, obviously we didn't watch it, but we heard.
We did not hear good things.
Yeah,
no.
We heard some stuff. It sounds like their coverage was probably also being done on the terrible Wi-Fi from our room as well. From what we heard. Do you see any role for ABB in this roster, RJ?
I do. I think, it's tough because, you've got that fourth line with Shea and centering, and ABB does such, has a different style of game. I think if they can move him to the wing, maybe there's a role for him. It's just, you want to give him a shot, right? There's that talent there. He's a scorer. I mean, you look at kind of what Donato's doing, and I mean, is there another potential like Donato role available? Another thing that Haxtell's talked about is injuries just come with the territory. There are going to be injuries. There's going to be guys that are banged up, that are out. I mean, COVID, who knows, right? So I think he'll find his role, and I think he might be one of those guys that just kind of force you to keep him in the lineup.
Yeah. How good is Vegas compared to the rest of the league? I mean, they were tied for the league lead in points last year, and not much changed for them. So
no, that just about good. Says it all. Yeah.
You think the Knights cry the hardest when you punch them in the face out of the entire Pacific? There's something to be said for that. They've had some, pretty epic playoff collapses at this point, right? Once they face some stuff.
Yeah, there was a notable game where they were up 3-0 and gave up that lead. I happened to be at that one live in person. That was a fun one.
Yeah, and then Corey Perry and the Montreal Canadiens last year. Because he was definitely the guy who led that charge, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They replayed the fourth goal quite a bit on TV, and it truly was a kicking motion. Yeah, I mean, we'll take a look at it here later, but I can certainly see from the one quick replay we got, there was a lot of movement to that skate. So So I could see that for sure. The Knights' passing was too on point for us to be physical. We've gotten so many more chances. Now, if we were more sound in our own end, it is early for that. Again, that's where I think the defensive pairings being new for this game rather than what they were going with through the preseason comes into play. Like I said, there was times with Alexiak and Larson where they both seemed hesitant. They didn't know like who was going to take somebody. And then obviously there were times with Dunn and Lauzon where you had, both players on one side of the ice. No one's in front of the net trying to clear that out. There was some issues there. There was another time, I think it was on the penalty kill, when it was Hayden Fleury and Jeremy Lauzon, and they had a Golden Knights player trapped behind the net. They both go in to be physical with him, and somehow the Golden Knights player just like skates out of there with puck possession. Now you've got both of your defensemen behind the net on the PK. Not sure what happened. I mean,
we gave each other a look there, like, how'd you manage that one?
Yeah, that one was something that was pretty difficult to see, but yeah, I think things are going to get better from there, and I'm going to be really interested to see what kind of pairings we see on Thursday in Nashville.
Agreed. Kinks to work out. Definitely not into the new angles. The new angles are something we heard about. Again, we haven't seen it. We'll have more on that. Like, I'll take a look at that. We'll talk about that on a future video or podcast.
Yeah.
We'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, we didn't see it tonight, obviously.
But we saw that new, like, it's not quite like
you
a
notice
sky
it in
cam.
the arena. Yeah, it's on the string and they kind of hang it and it moves back and forth and
but it's clearly stuck to one side. Like I was thinking like Skycam like football, right, where you can kind of see a top down angle and it makes it look like a video game. That's kind of what I was thinking, but it was pretty angled and obviously on one side. So yeah, it didn't seem like it would create for the best experience. And then I was hearing something about there might be cameras in the boards when we were down there for warm-ups. One of the Golden Knights like arena workers was talking about there was a camera and he was pointing down behind the net or something. I couldn't quite hear though. He was telling someone else.
Yeah, if there was some camera angles from in the boards, or let us know, because
I couldn't tell if you meant like on the board or in the board.
Yeah,
maybe.
If you know what they're talking about, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, Were you surprised the three players cleared protocol and played? We've got to talk about this.
So
yes, that was a lot of our conversation right before the game. As soon as we got the news, I mean, take it away, Dylan. Like what?
I was very surprised because they had like the Kraken gave no indication that was even going to be possible yesterday when the news came out. So it's, one of the things you speculated on right away was, well, maybe they were just close contacts to Yarncroke, so they were put in protocol while they were tested, and then they all tested negative, and thus were able to play, right? We don't know for a fact that they ever tested positive. We just know that they were put into the protocol. So it's entirely possible that was the case, that they were just close contacts. They tested negative maybe yesterday and then today, and so they were cleared to play. But we do know that they didn't travel with the team. Right. So that also kind of implies that they weren't sure that it was going to happen. So I'm really confused as to what happened. I'm sure they're being asked about it. Dave Haxtell's probably being asked about it in a press conference, probably like right now.
Yep.
So definitely interested to hear what explanation that was. And then the fact that it was like they submitted the roster this morning because they had to, and it had those 4 players on the
not on it. Yeah, they were on the COVID list.
The non-rostered injured list COVID thing.
So we'll try and get you some answers on that one.
Yeah, but as for right now, I mean, it was just, fortunate to have him play.
So thank you on the top chat, Sergeant Pickles. Thank you. Fought back from 3-0 down against the division favorite, only lost on a controversial goal. I'm proud of the boys, and I like our chances against anyone.
Absolutely,
that's the right takeaway. I mean, they gave a very good team a very good game, and I think Kraken fans should be feeling good about it, and proud of what the team did, especially given all the craziness of the past couple days. It took them a little bit to get into it, but once they did, they were great, and they should be proud of what they did.
Yeah, again, that heart to stay in it cannot be overstated. That's something it's hard to do. It's maybe a little easier because it's the first game in franchise history, but at the same time, it's one of those got 82 more of them, right? And I think that's tough to stare down when it's not play. Well, yeah, that's true. When it's not playoff time. What are you talking about? There's going to be a tiebreaker game like in baseball.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course.
Yeah, no, they did a great job. Really, really happy with that effort, and I think we can all be proud of that as the first game in franchise history.
Let's see. We touched on this a little bit with Braun when at full strength, Yanni, Callie, and more. Who do we take off? Thought it would be simpler in the year, but now it feels less obvious. It sure does, right? I think with Gord coming back, Sheahan's probably the guy to go down. He's a center. He's the fourth line center. It just makes the most sense. I think that'll be the simplest one. Yarncroke we touched on already.
Yeah, probably Bastion there.
And then Barre Boulet, we'll see how that goes. And, with Bastion going down, in favor of Yarncroke, I mean, it kind of pushes some of those bigger physical, more physical fourth line guys. And now you're going to have the option, I think, to have more of a faster, skilled fourth line that maybe Barre Boulet does fit on.
Yeah, that would actually be a good fit for him. And they're not going to have to totally send everyone down. They're not going to have to waive everybody, right? There'll be scratches that'll leave them open to the ability to, on nights when they want to field a bigger, stronger team, they can do that with some of those fourth liners. Scratch them at times. I mean, that's been Sheahan's hallmark throughout his career. He always plays 50 to 60 games on all 17,000 teams he's been on in the last 4 years. He's one of those you field him on some nights, not on others, and I think that could be the case here once Yanni Gourde comes back.
Yep. Can't wait to see our home pregame. Me too. I am looking forward to it. I will be in the building for that game, and we're all excited to see what they've got. What they've got prepared.
Yeah. Should an offensively minded Dunn be paired with defensively strong Larson? Yes.
Yes.
The answer is definitely yes. I thought that pairing made sense before the season started. I thought it made sense in the preseason when we saw them together.
Yeah.
I think Larson's ability to, really shut things down. I think Larson might be arguably their best, like solid defensive defenseman at times, right? Like, yes, Alexiak brings the size, and you have guys like Carson Soucy who are really good analytically as far as getting the puck out of their zone. But like on an odd man rush, if you were to have me pick which Kraken defenseman I would want back there, it's going to be Larson. He's just smart about the angles he plays. So yes, I would love to see Dunn have more of that freedom to go out there and kind of do what he wants. And if that means that, then we would.
Oh, thank you, Hockey Mom.
Yep.
Great job. G. Joe would be proud.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'll say that's my mom. Thank you so much. I'm glad you think Grandma Joe would be proud. A little bit of sad news here. My Grandma Joe passed away today. So it's, a little kind of tough day with the family and, mixed emotions and all that, but, that means a lot, Mom. So thank you.
Yeah. All right.
All the camera angles,
yeah,
the hideous camera
everyone
angles.
Hates the camera
except Braun. He says he admits he kind of likes the weird angles.
All right.
So,
I mean,
all right.
it's different. I'm all for different, exploring new things, right?
Yeah.
That's not always a bad thing.
They're keeping the goalies separated. We don't need Jean-Claude Van Damme as a backup. COVID, I guess. Although, you know what? If something were to happen to both of them, God forbid, you got Joey Decord.
Joey Decord looked fantastic.
He looks good
through that preseason.
So I think the Kraken are set in net.
Yeah. Any previews for the next game? Scouting on Nashville. I mean, they're always a really tough team to play against. They know how to shut things down defensively. Obviously, that's the core strength of their team. That's why they protected so many of them from the Kraken and why we got lucky enough to get Calle Jarnkrok. Saros played really, really well last year. Their young netminder. He played really well. I was a fan of his way back through his drafting process and everything, but I have doubts about him at times, especially when he goes down. I see a lot of holes, especially over his shoulders. He's a goalie who plays smaller than he is. So I think if, guys kind of take a page out of the Morgan Geeky, book and they shoot high over the shoulder, I think maybe they can have some success in Nashville.
Yeah, that's a good scouting report. Tanev is like the Flash out there. Yeah, I mean, he's just this ball of energy, moving all around, going everywhere. Agreed. The hockey guy said it wasn't a kick. Okay, so It's funny because we've seen, again, we don't have the best angles on this, but I was checking Twitter right after to see, what the people who did see it on TV were saying. And we had Sound of Hockey, big Kraken vlog, say that that they thought that it was going to be a good goal, that it was going to stand, it wasn't a kick. And yet we had Sinbin.Vegas, who, is our top Golden Knights follow, saying that he thought it was a kick, it was probably going to come back. So, you'd think it would be the other way around, but no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's the hi, Mrs. RJ. Condolences, rest in peace. That's very good.
Quick, sorry, Pickles there. What would clean up the defensive turnovers? Swapping D pairs. I think swapping the D pairs would help. I think going back, and this was something I noticed during the preseason, but I thought, it's just the preseason. Maybe it'll stop. Going back to our squirt coaching days, RJ.
Yeah.
What is it that we always taught the young kids to do when trying to move the puck out of their own zone?
Always up off the boards, never to the middle.
Yes, you want to make the rink a diamond. You go out from your own zone into the other zone towards the net, right? And what is it that the Kraken like to do a lot defensively? Yes, they just pass it right across the slot area, and Vegas was obviously ready for that in this game. So just use the boards a little bit more, guys. And I think that goes back to on some of those pairings, if someone doesn't feel comfortable. Again, Jamie Alexiak does it a lot. And I just think he's not comfortable or confident enough to really try to make a long pass. But I think, he's good at it. Like, we've seen him be good at it before. So I'd like to see him start doing that a little bit more. And I think that will help with those turnovers in their own zone.
Agreed. So, JMG63, thank you. Thanks for the top chat. Thank you for your support. You guys are doing a great job. We really appreciate that. We're trying our best.
No, that means a lot for sure. Thank you so much.
Let's see, where are we? Can you speak to hack strategies so far? I saw us forechecking with two guys early in the game, which seemed bold.
It was bold, but you know what? It was also kind of getting things done. So it was.
Yeah, and we did get a question mid-game on Twitter saying, are they forechecking too hard? Are they being too aggressive on the forecheck? And I'll stand by my answer where. Yes, Vegas is a good transition team, so, that might kind of play into their style. But at the end of the day, the Kraken's identity is built around this strong forecheck, right? This is what you want to do. And, even against a very good team like Vegas, you have to play your game and you have to, just be good at it. And I think they kind of came into their own and showed why that was the case.
Yeah, and otherwise, I think, they stuck with their game. It started working towards the end there. Got unlucky on that, controversial goal. But I think they can go ahead and, with the exception of changing out those D pairings, I think they can go ahead with that same strategy, and I think it'll work well for them. And another super chat from Robert Andrews. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you so very much. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
Scrolling back up in the chat.
Dunn is still young, even though he's played a bunch of games. His game could clean up a little bit more. We talked about that, right, with him. He will go deep into that offensive zone. He's unafraid. He has a net front presence at times, which is insane to say about a defenseman. But at the same time, it seems to work more than it doesn't for him. And I think, certainly when he's out there with some of the, the bottom six lines for the Kraken that don't necessarily have someone that can totally generate offense for the whole team, he kind of becomes that spark for them. So I think that's, yes, he could clean it up. He doesn't need to be so risky all the time, but at the same time, until things really start breaking down with him, I say go for it.
Yeah. Trade Lausanne soon. What do you think?
Well, I would say yes, but also I don't know what kind of return you could get for him compared to maybe a Borgen or even a Carson Soucy. But
it's a numbers game. We thought a trade was coming at some point. They have too many NHL caliber defensemen, and I think it just depends who you get the best offer for. Hackstall's. What do you think about Hackstall's in-game tactical decisions? And we kind of talked about this a little bit, but one adjustment that I liked him making, toward in the second period was Vegas was doing really well on the counterattack. Obviously, we know they're good at that. And it seemed like for a while the Kraken were having one forward kind of higher in the zone, not get too low. And I think that helped, kind of mitigate that counterattack. Jonas Donskoy, I thought, did an especially good job of that. So that's one adjustment that I liked.
Yeah, the other thing was, oh my gosh, I had it and I just completely lost it.
You got this, Dylan. I believe in you.
What was it? So you brought up the thing. Oh, on the PK, they started being really, really aggressive on the PK. They were really trying to pressure Vegas entering the zone. They would just line up 3 defensemen across that blue line, and they just said, basically, come through us. And you know what? It totally worked. They shut down some zone entries completely by doing that because of their size and the reach of guys like Jamie Alexiak and Hayden Fleury. Hayden Fleury actually had 2 of those, I think.
Yes, he did.
That he played very, very well. He really forced the guy into the boards both times and then was able to take the puck away and get it out of the zone quick and just keep Vegas from establishing anything. And that's something that they didn't do at the beginning of the game. So that might have also been one of the adjustments that he made that I think worked a lot. Notice the aggressiveness out of the gate, which I liked. Vegas was very poised, and when they got to attack, we had no idea what to do. Transition to defense. I definitely think it's a chemistry thing. We've talked about that a little bit already. These are defensive pairings that were not pairings during the preseason, so they don't have a ton of time together. I certainly felt on that first goal, Larson and Alexiak, neither one of them knew what the other was doing, and they both kind of just ended up freezing a little bit, and that's what created that opportunity for the Golden Knights. So definitely want to see these guys practice a little bit more with each other, and it might just be something that just going to have to tough it out through a couple games until they really figure things out between themselves.
As a Caps fan, still so weird watching people like Chandler Stevenson. Yeah, that's a tough one to give up for, what was it, a 5th round pick or whatever. Vegas got a steal, that's for sure.
Certainly with all those kicked in goals he gets away with. Top 4, Giordano, Alexiak, Dunn, Larson. I think that's what I would want to see personally, because I feel like Alexiak needs someone who can move the puck. Giordano's shown he can move the puck, and as we talked about earlier, Dunn having someone like Larson to back him up in his own zone would be big too.
How would we rate Grubauer's performance given the turnovers? I think we touched on this a little bit earlier. I think probably 2 of the goals I would have, liked a timely save there, but, overall it was okay. Not great, not terrible. It was okay.
Yeah, and, he was solid. Like I said, I think he's a goalie that kind of needs to see some fairly frequent action towards the beginning of the game just to get into a rhythm, and that, the Kraken doing so well right out of the gate maybe kept him from doing that as well. But overall, pretty good. I think, he did what he had to do, which was he kept the Kraken in the game. He gave him a shot at the end.
Yep.
Okay, so the 4-on-3 power play, RJ.
Yes. Okay. I mean, we were talking with each other as that was going on, just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. Again, I don't understand why so many NHL teams have this problem, and maybe I'm just a naive fan when I say this, but I'm pretty sure when you're trying to score goals, it's beneficial to shoot the puck.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's like all the fans are shoot. I get it, and it's like the biggest cliche, but yeah, you've got to start putting the puck at the net. At the end of the day, if you want to score, especially 4-on-3, I mean, the 4-on-3 setup should be designed to have a trigger man and just get those shots. Bam, 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 just crank out the shots, and they weren't doing that. I will say, the only time, because again, I went to training camp every day. The only time they ever worked on a 4-on-3 situation, like at all before today, was the brief overtime period in the Everett preseason game where they had that 4-on-3. So it's not something they've worked on a lot. I'll at least give them that.
Yeah, and it's not exactly a situation you encounter.
No, and yeah, it probably isn't deserving of a whole lot of practice time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely need to fix that.
Do they actually have cheerleaders at the game, or do they just CGI them into the broadcast?
Yeah, no, they had cheerleaders at the game, and they have
They're real.
The showgirls that stand behind the away team's warm up.
I was surprised to see that. I mean, did you know about that beforehand?
Yeah, I knew about that beforehand. I thought Well, I at least heard about it that first season. I guess they've kept it going now through.
But during warm-ups on the away team, right on the glass,
it's pretty gimmicky.
Yeah.
I don't think that really distracts the away team in any way. So, but it just kind of fed into the whole feel of everything, which was it's Vegas. They're going to put on a show, and yes, that show could be cheesy at times, such as during the opening when they have, the Golden Knights skate out there and fight something. In this case, it was a really awesome Kraken that they projected onto the ice. He
that was
broke
really
up
cool.
Through the ice, cornered the Golden Knight. Then, of course, the Golden Knight had to go and turn him into fire or whatever.
Yeah, was it blood or fire? He just stabbed the sword into the ice.
Stabbed the sword into the ice, and then the thing caught fire and melted away. I got some video of that. I'm gonna try to put together a video of the warm-ups and some of the pregame stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of video footage. We're gonna put something together for you. Hopefully soon.
Might take a couple days just traveling back and everything, but definitely gonna try to get
Keep
that
an eye out
to
for
everybody. Anyone else notice all the tomahawk chops with the hockey sticks? Found it kind of hilarious, just chopping at the puck. Yeah, I mean, technically that's a penalty at times, right? If you break the guy's stick, but it's one of those you just, yeah. I mean, do you mean net front when they're trying to tip it?
Yeah.
Then they'll they're generally trying to tip it down, and they'll do that. Otherwise, yes, if the puck is stuck along the boards or something, you'll come in and you're trying to basically scoop it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is the best descriptor I can have. But yeah, you just come down hard with it.
Why can't Hackstall figure out the deep pairings? We already have it figured out. I mean, it's not always as simple, but I think he's just, it's tough, especially with the COVID situation. I don't know. I think he's going to experiment. I mean, that's something that we've talked about, where I think it's just going to be an experiment for a little while.
Yeah, and there's time. There's plenty of time, not having to face the best team in the league every night, thankfully. So they'll figure it out for sure. Next game against Nashville. Nashville's, they lost Arvidsson this offseason. Not a ton of offense on that lineup right now. Certainly if Duchesne and Ryan Johansson just keep, their downward trajectory, which I don't hope that they do just for them personally. I'd love to see them rebound again, but they looked pretty rough the last couple of years. Yeah, the Schwartz-McCann Eberle line was a little flat. Again, I think McCann might have gotten banged up in the first period. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, they just didn't do much.
No, they didn't. And I mean, it's about half the game they were going against the Mark Stone line, about half of it they were going against the William Karlsson line. So they had good opposition. They were playing against good guys, but still you expect them, I guess, to get a little more chances. But I mean, that's just the nature of NHL hockey sometimes. You have some lines that are going, some lines that aren't, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. The Kraken was sick. I hope it was on the broadcast because it was pretty cool.
Vegas blocked quite a few shots. They definitely had to earn this win. They did block a lot of shots, although one thing I'd like to see from the Kraken is them doing a better job of avoiding getting those shots blocked, especially from the point. It seemed like they shot it into a lot of situations where it was obvious it was going to get blocked. So I'd like them to be a little bit more selective or kind of move the puck a little bit more at the point.
Yeah. And I talked about that when I said, and the last podcast we did that came out yesterday, I liked on the power play in that last preseason game, they were taking a bunch of shots from the point. The only thing that can go wrong there is if they block the shot. Well, okay, we saw what that can do in this game.
Yeah.
Painful watching the end of the Tampa loss.
Wishing they would just cut it to the Kraken pregame until the broadcasters felt the same way. Yeah, at the end of that game, I don't know. That's how it works, though, right, on TV?
Yeah, I mean, you're just stuck with that one thing.
Yeah.
We can all thank Heidi for that, right?
Yeah.
With lots of Kraken fans at the arena, how were you treated by the rest of the crowd? There was a lot of Kraken fans there.
Yes, and that's one thing we noticed even getting here kind of early is there were a bunch of Kraken fans all around our hotel. I mean, our hotel's right by the arena, and just, you could see them everywhere. You find Kraken jerseys all over, so that was really cool to see. As for how we were treated by the rest of the crowd, I think we were treated pretty well, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything was great. I was seated next to a lovely couple of season ticket holders. I had some great conversation with them throughout the game. And they did say, the arena, they do get a decent amount of away fans every night, but it keeps the arena sold out. It keeps the games from being blacked out on local TV, so they were cool with it. And but yes, they were definitely trying to pride themselves on being gracious hosts. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of drunken antics. You weren't hearing a bunch of cussing going on, none of that. So that was cool, and everybody just enjoyed that it was a good game. I think it was a little rough on some of those Vegas fans when the game was getting tied. I think they were all like, well, it's been a good game, everything's cool, and then that happened and they were a little like but
all right, let's get one more.
But yeah, no, the crowd was really awesome. Definitely recommend going to Vegas for a game.
Absolutely,
for anybody.
It's something every NHL fan should go and do.
Yeah. Will Giordano continue to play Power Play 1? Because I think Dunn should be on it. When he's on the Power Play, something positive happens. Do you think Hackstall will ever change this? I agree. I would like to see Dunn out there just because I think he's the most dynamic. Mm-hmm. I think the only reason Giordano is out there is just generally his defensive pairing is usually out there when that forward group is out there. So the idea is that they just have this cohesive kind of feel about them. But, I could see it being something that Hackstall does change and play around with. I mean, that's an obvious one if the power play is not working or, you just want to switch something up. So that's a good idea, way to bring that up. And I will say they were 0 for 3, I think, on the power play, or maybe that was earlier that I was seeing the 0 for 3 number on the around the rink thing. But that one goal, the Donato goal that they scored, was it the Donato one?
It was the Donato one. It was right after the power play ended. So
the
power play
ended,
influence.
So it was certainly, basically, it was a power play goal.
Yep. Ultimate overacting to game 1. Do they make the playoffs? I think they do, and I think this game only makes a better case for that they do. With how well they how closely they played a team like Vegas. So yeah, I stand by my prediction of about how they were going to do.
Yeah, without the kicked-in goal, this game probably goes to overtime, and they at least walk away with a point against the best team in hockey.
Oh, Ethan clarified the chopping.
Okay, the chopping with the sticks was everywhere.
I think it was to pinch the puck, to have it shoot away from the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, you're always trying to pick the pocket of a defender. You'll come down on it. You try not to because that, like I said, can be a penalty. Otherwise, you'll try to stick lift a lot. When you can come under the guy's stick and pop it up and then try to scoop the puck away while the stick's in the air. Mm-hmm. Something you're a lot better at than I am. I just get slashing penalties whenever I try it.
NHL in Vegas with 19 blocks. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I know we kind of talked about the reasons why.
Yeah, they definitely knew that's what they were going to need to do to get some transition game going. Yeah, if they do a little more, we have a full team. This goes different. Jack for the season. We are 2.
Expansion team option last year's Chell game with computer picks. You end up with Giordano. I mean, he's the clear pick there if he's available, right? And we're seeing why.
Yeah.
I think Wenberg is headed for 3C or even 4C.
I think when Yanni Gord comes back,
he
will be moved to 3C. I don't think he's shown enough of an offensive spark to keep him in a top 6 role.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit earlier. Part of it's I just don't think they've found the right wingers for him. Mm-hmm. And again, that might just be because he missed so much early training camp and preseason time. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I like this question from Braun. What's your guys' favorite role or type of player? And this might be one even better for a podcast to kind of get into in depth. Mm-hmm. But let's try and keep it brief here. Like a sharpshooter, a goon. Dylan, what's your favorite type of player?
I mean, I don't know. I like the heart and soul guys, the guys like Brandon Tanev. I've always been drawn to those guys, the guys that are just, their motor never stops. That's what I loved about Matty Beniers, our, second overall pick in this draft, first ever pick in Seattle Kraken history in the entry draft. I love the guys that just don't stop. They just go out there, night in, night out, exactly what you're going to get out of them as far as effort goes. And they may not always be the guys that are top scorers, but I just think they're invaluable to a team.
Yeah, for me, I do like a guy who can score. I like smart players who are really aware of what's going on around them and just kind of have this intelligence to their game, and kind of are able to see the ice in a different way than others can. I think on this team, probably Yanni Gord would be the type that I would like. Yeah, I think he's such a smart player out there, but he's also got energy. He can score. He can kind of do everything. So, that's the guy I'd go with.
Yeah, who do you choose for your first jersey? Like Tanev, stoke for Gord, wait for Beniers. It's a tough call, man.
It is a tough call.
It's a really tough
and I
call.
think at the end of the day, like, you have to go with the player you identify with the most. It's kind of a feeling thing, right? Like, who makes you the most excited, when you think about, like, putting on that jersey. Because getting a player jersey is a cool kind of unique part of being a fan, where you get to really express what you like in a player, like what your preferences are. So yeah, I think it's kind of has to be like a gut feeling type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And just kind of pay attention if you ever find yourself looking at one player more than the others when they're playing.
Yeah.
Right. A game. If you ever head out to a Kraken practice and you find yourself, enamored with somebody's personality, or you just find that you like watching what they're doing out there, that's generally the clue. And
sometimes it's a moment. Like, I got to mention this real quick. My first like Sharks jersey that I chose, back when I was, a kid and a Sharks fan, is Logan Couture, and it was a moment where it was my prom night, and he scored this overtime game-winning goal against the Kings, a big rival, and I'm like, all right, that's it, I'm getting his jersey. So there might be a moment in an upcoming game for you that's just like, all right, that seals it.
Super worry about such things, but do they need to bring in a face-off specialist? No, they got Morgan Geekie.
He is the face-off specialist.
Yeah, I thought they did okay on the dot tonight.
Yeah, I thought they did fine. It wasn't. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but I wasn't noticing them, losing a bunch of important draws. I think they did fine.
It felt like they won a decent amount of the offensive zone faceoffs, and I didn't notice any bad losses in their own zone. So
yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that right now.
Yeah. Band kicks and hand passes. There was one very specific.
Are we going to talk about that hand pass?
That
or that,
seemed like a hand pass that the Kraken got away with there.
Yeah, it was right on the blue line. One of the defensemen reached up for it, kind of knocked it backwards, back over the blue line.
And it went right to the stick of another Kraken player.
Which it didn't impact the play at all.
No.
But we both looked at each other like,
we were surprised with the no call, and it seemed like a couple of the players were as well.
Yeah. Who are your 3 stars for the Kraken? All right, Dylan, real quick, let's go.
Donato, Geekie for sure. I don't know. I really liked the game Hayden Fleury put together out there.
Of course, you picked the 3 I was going to go with. Right, I was like, okay, I got Hayden Fleury. There's no way you're going to... Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's just who I think I'd go with.
Okay, face-offs were even 25-25. Yeah,
okay.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, like it chose the former Penguin. Oh. You got me, yes.
There you go.
This has got nothing to do with the hair either.
I like this. Our audience really tuning in, keeping you honest.
Yes, and you.
That's true with the geeky grade. Yeah, I'm never going to live that one down.
Unsure about the Brad Marchand comment. Did something happen there? Or is that the kind of player you like, Crazy Joe? Please clarify.
Yeah, let us know.
Will the Kraken grab Eric Stahl as a veteran center for the 4th line? I don't think they need him.
No, I don't think they need him. I just don't see where he kind of fits and really improves the look of everything. So yeah, I just think they've got such center depth, they don't need him.
Yeah.
King Fiver explaining the kick. Yeah, you got to do a full news breakdown.
Tanev's favorite player from this game just leaps off the screen.
Estimated timeline for when Gord comes back. No official timeline. I would expect sometime in late October. That's just me don't hold me to that, but that's me guessing from everything that I've seen and heard. So
yeah, so if you can be a little patient, wait and check out Yanni Gord. But if the meantime you just fall in love with Tanev watching these games, pull that trigger, man. I don't think you'd regret it with a guy like Tanev.
If you can get one, I've heard that they're still sold out in some of the store locations of Tanev jerseys. So,
all right, there you go. Go big, go geeky. There we go. We don't play another team of Vegas's quality for the next few weeks outside of Edmonton, maybe Montreal. If they give this performance consistently, they will win plenty of games. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's our thoughts.
Yep.
The fact that they were able to keep this game so close, the fact that it came down to what it came down to, only good things are going to come for this team for sure. if things had continued like the first 10 minutes, maybe we'd have a different story. But yeah, I do think that the faster teams, the teams like Edmonton and Vegas that have good transition games, certainly earlier in the season, like now, while they're still all figuring it out, they're trying to figure out the defensive pairings, especially. I think that's going to be something that's going to give them problems. And that might even just be something that gives them problems moving forward. They don't really seem, maybe Yanni Gourde fixes that, but otherwise they don't really seem to have a good answer for transitions right now.
Yeah. Okay. So Braun, I'll get to your comment in a second, but Dylan should get a Tanev jersey and go as him for Halloween. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I know at some point we gotta get a staring contest between you and Tanev. We've talked about this. We want to get that set up. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
No guarantees.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's definitely something on the list, something we'd like to do. And then Braun, do you guys play? If so, what positions? I do play. I'm a forward, like usually right wing, but I can kick into center in a pinch. Dylan?
Yeah, I used to play mostly, basically, exclusively as a kid. My back won't really let me play anymore. Certainly not, consistently. I can do pickup games and stuff like that, but can't do rec anymore. That being said, I love being a defenseman. That's where I'm most comfortable. I like being that puck-moving defenseman that I think it was you that brought up earlier. You like seeing that, but yeah. Blackwell bring anything that they don't already have. I think he brings more of what they want, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm just jet lagged, even though I stayed in the same time zone. I as far as like, he's a more offensively skilled version of, let's say, a Nathan Bastian. Right, where he's going to be physical. I think he brings more of the Tanev level of energy and motor as far as really getting things going and really going out there and trying hard. So I think he's more of that kind of prototypical player that they want for this team in the bottom six.
And one area I want to add that I think he could add to is the second unit power play. Like as the guy in the bumper role, I want to see him there because he was fantastic there with the Rangers last season. So that's one place I'd like to see him.
Dream trade to improve the scoring on the Kraken.
Okay, how realistic are your dreams, Dylan?
In my opinion, and I've been very critical of the 1-3-1 power play, even though all the teams in the NHL use it. I think somebody out there needs to innovate past it, and maybe I'll get more into that on a podcast. Some of my ideas. The 1-3-1 really works well when you have just a fantastic sniper who can sit on one of the half boards and just launch a shot whenever it comes their way.
I see where you're going
and
with this.
Even though the goalie knows it's coming, it just beats him anyway, right? Think Ovechkin, he's kind of the guy who modeled this. I can't help myself, even in a fantasy scenario, to think that the Capitals would trade him to the Kraken for anything. So I'm going to go with Patrick Laine.
There it is.
Yeah, there it
is.
I think he's got a super deadly shot. I think he wasn't always totally used the best way in Winnipeg to accentuate his shot, and then in Columbus that just turned into a total disaster. However, they did use him on the power play in that role, and that's almost exclusively where he scored all of his goals for them. So I don't think it's unrealistic for maybe them to
no, I mean he could potentially be on the market, so that's a guy to look at potentially if it seems like he might find his way out of Columbus.
Yeah.
Puck handling goalies or
no. Are you asking if we need more puck handling goalies?
Or I think he's saying because in the 6-0, meaning that game against the Oilers with was it Mike Smith
for the
that was
transitions
in?
and everything. Yeah, I mean, if you can have like a Marty Brodeur level or a Mike Smith kind of guy who can kind of be that third defenseman out there to help crack down on things. I don't know that it'll help with the kind of breakaway problem that they seem to have right now. But I do think, certainly given the hesitancy of some of the defensemen to move the puck out of their own zone, that if, they want to go ahead and start a rush and then the goalie takes care of that, that could be something that we could have some fun with. I don't know that any of the goalies the Kraken have, though, are all that great puck handlers. I don't really think of Grubauer that way. I think I've seen Drieger do it a couple times, but I don't think a ton.
Yeah.
And poor Joey Decourt is just perpetually stuck being a third goalie in an organization, even though he doesn't deserve it.
Yep.
Love the passion already seen. Bringing it back 3-3. Yep, love it.
Any concern the Kraken come out flat next game and the rest of the road trip after what was likely an emotional season opener?
It's always possible, but I also got to think that, the fact that they can go into the next game and, hopefully I don't want to jinx anything. I'm knocking on wood. Not having to deal with the day before 4 players are in COVID protocol. They're not making the trip with us. But day of, like 4 hours before the game.
Yep.
They're all here now and they're going to play. Sorry, Alex True. I know you gave all the press conference stuff this morning talking about how excited you were, but, go back to Charlotte.
Yep.
I just got to think that without all that, I think once having a normal game day process, I think will probably help them. So I'm not too concerned about it.
Yep.
Predictions on the AHL team name, RJ. The Sand Squids. That would be
that'd be pretty cool. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's something like Firebirds or something that's going to be desert related. I don't see any Kraken tie-ins coming, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's going to come out of left field. I think the Kraken was something that we knew was floated around. I don't have any idea what it might be. The Desert Kraken.
Yeah.
I think he'd take 8 mil.
Line A or?
I'm assuming you're asking about Line A, whether or not he'd take 8 million a season. If it's after this year and he has another rough year, he might, if you're offering him security and he believes in the organization. But those are some pretty big ifs right now, given everything he's had to go through as a player.
Crazy how the entire draft was leaked and still no news on the mascot. Agree. Where is it? Where's the mascot, Dylan?
Yeah, because they made it sound like they were going to have one.
Yeah.
And the season has started.
Every NHL team has one. So they'd be the only one that didn't.
The Red Wings don't.
They don't have. I mean, like,
he's a big plastic octopus that sits in the rafters. He doesn't interact with anybody.
So you'd be one of 2 teams that didn't. I just don't see the Kraken like why? Why not? So
yeah,
I think it'll be a big reveal for the home opener. That's got to be it at this point.
If it doesn't happen there, then I guess
then there is
we're thinking year 2. When did Chance come in for Vegas? Was that year 2?
I think that was year 1.
Okay, but it wasn't right away. I don't think.
Yeah, maybe not.
I think it was
we'll do some more research.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Sorry, I don't just know that offhand. How do we stack up against Nashville? I think very favorably.
Yep.
I think if we forecheck the way we did today and just try to keep up that pressure, we won't have to worry about the same kind of transition game going back the other way. Nashville doesn't have the same level of scoring and speed that Vegas had, so I think we stack up pretty well with Nashville. Letting up before the first. Yeah, exactly. I don't think.
Yeah, as long as that first win, still they got to search for it.
That's a pretty good carrot to be dangling in front of them, for sure. Why didn't we see any flying V's in this game? Or knuckle pucks? Yeah, maybe for the home opener. The knuckle puck is still always my favorite.
We might see it from a division rival that far enough south.
Yeah, big favorite of my sister's too. I've always wanted to see the flying V though in a game. Maybe
some teams should just do it like
blowout. Like you're down by 6. Who cares anymore?
Just set it up.
Roll
Let's
it
go.
out, and maybe you get away with it just because the other team is laughing so hard.
Yep.
When Beniers arrives in March.
Oh, I just cut that off. Yeah. Sorry.
Adding to Gord, McCann, Geeky, and ABB, do they trade Wenberg? I really don't think they'll trade Wenberg. He was one of their big free agent signings this year for that first class. I think they really like what he can bring. It's just a matter of settling him into what role right now. And I think once Gord comes back, he'll settle into that 3C role, and I think things will look a lot better from him when he can focus more on defense, because I think that's where he's more comfortable.
Yeah.
But he's a good passer. I just think he hasn't gelled with any of his wingers yet.
Yep.
Meant more the Kraken's heavy forechecking style needs to be able to account for third defenseman style goalies. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like a trap for Smith. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if they can somehow, get to Smith, that's where a guy like Jordan Eberle, who's really good, using his stick in the offensive zone, I think that would be good. Rangers don't have a mascot. You're right, everybody.
The only team to have never had a mascot. Boom. Yep. All right, I stand double corrected. So you guys keep us honest. This is great. This is great. We need this.
The only question is, do we want a revolving door of terrible mascots like the Columbus Blue Jackets?
You're not a fan of Thunderbug?
Well, Thunderbug is stuck. He's the best of
given
us. But
Thunderbug's light. Wait. No,
remember the cannon that lasted one
game?
It was so bad. I don't know. I'm kind of into that idea where they just try
Thunderbug's the lightning mascot. Don't listen. Okay, don't listen to me on mascots.
No, but they have the wasp.
The wasp. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The lime green wasp, because goes with Columbus.
Yeah.
Everybody yelling at RJ about the Rangers.
Rightfully so.
Of the next three opponents, who do they match up against best and who worst? Even if they come home 2-3, I'm okay. Let me double check the schedule. It's late right now. So obviously, I think they're going to do really well against Nashville on Thursday. They play Columbus on Saturday. Again, I think that should be a good game for them.
Right.
Columbus is going to play a little bit of a different style than Nashville as far as their forwards are going to be driving the physical game,
right,
as opposed to Nashville's. But I don't know that Columbus has the scoring depth.
Right. But they're going to work hard, and the Kraken are going to have to earn it. It's one of those where, if they play their game and work hard, that they should, have a win out of it. But, if you're lacking it all, if you let up, they're not going to go away.
Then you have the Philly game on the 18th, the revenge game for Dave Hackstall going back into Philadelphia. That's a team I could see maybe giving the Kraken some problems. Just their overall style, and it's just a hard place to go in and play. But again, I don't know. They don't really have top end scoring.
Yeah,
totally. I mean, who would you say is their best scorer right now? Like Konechny,
I guess,
or like offensive playmaker. Because
they just bring in Atkinson.
I don't know. And then New Jersey's in a perpetual rebuild. They've got like 1,000 first overall pick. They've essentially become Edmonton.
Yeah.
They got all these like top picks, all of which seemingly still only weigh 160 pounds and therefore ineffective.
They've just been unlucky as far as the draft years they've gotten those top picks in.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Stinger, that was the name of the.
There you go.
Okay.
I could see, of those four upcoming games, I could see the Kraken. I would favor the Kraken in 3 of those. I think the Philly one is probably, if they're going to drop one, that's the one that I would guess would be the game that they would drop.
Did the Metropolitans have a mascot? I don't know if mascots were a thing at that time.
They were, but that was still back in the day and age of like using an actual animal.
Okay.
Think college football is where my mind goes. Some of those old schools, Yale, right? They have the bulldog, and they still have a bulldog. It's like the 7th or 8th generation bulldog. So back in the day, that's what they used. They still used physical, real animals.
Yeah.
A wad of Christmas wrapping paper. Yes, that would be a good mascot for them. Davy Jones is the mascot. Completely obvious and overplayed, but just send it.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Bring back the Sasquatch.
I'd be down.
Anthropomorphized Space Needle mascot. That kind of goes to one of your designs.
Yes.
Actually. Back when we did our What Should the Kraken Mascot video.
And check that out if you've not seen the video. I feel like a lot of you probably have. But if you haven't, give it a watch because it's funny. We try and do these, just draw the mascots on MS Paint. Yeah, anyway, continue.
Yeah, but you had one that was basically...
It was the anchor.
It was their anchor logo, that third
anchor
logo,
man.
Or the second logo for the team. And so he's got that Space Needle top to him with the anchor body. I still don't know how he's supposed to walk down any aisles, but,
I think I explained that in the video. I don't remember what I said, to be honest, but you'd find a way.
You explained it. Was it a good explanation? I don't know. Go watch the video and find out.
Yeah, there you go.
Really annoyed that there's only one way to watch local Kraken games on TV. Root Sports is stupid. Same situation with the Mariners. Game was on ESPN, but that's only every once in a while. Yeah, I mean, that's just the world we live in. Professional sports is an entertainment business. As much as we want it to be about the competition and all of that good stuff that, you know, we really love about the game, at the end of the day, it's, you know, the people involved treat it like a business, and the business tends to win out when it comes to these decisions. The one good thing is I don't think we'll have to deal with blackouts. Because I think, you know, Seattle's going to show up for this team, you know, every night that they can. So that's one worry we don't have to deal with of the rough worries. But you know, there are other options out there that can be explored.
Fubo
that I don't
TV
know.
is supposed to pick up Root Sports sometime this month.
Yeah, Fubo is definitely one. Mascot should be
Ivar Haglund.
There you go.
There's so many good, like, different ways you could go with the Mascot, honestly.
There's a lot that they could go with.
Yeah. Have you ever eaten at Ivar's?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not a big seafood guy, so I have not.
Okay, we got a ton of comments.
Whoa,
here.
okay. Flooding in. Hang on.
All right. Where and when do you think Barry Boulay slots in?
Who gets bumped? Fourth line center at some point. Or I don't know. I mean, like, and it depends. If there's like an injury or someone in the top 6 missing, I could see them putting him there. And then who gets bumped? Like, if it's the top 6, it just means someone's out because they're injured or...
Yeah. Otherwise, Shahan.
Yeah.
Hypothetical to mirror the Hall Larson deal. Beniers for Jack Hughes. Who says no? I say no.
Yeah, I'd say no.
I've never been a Jack Hughes guy, and
Dylan says no for sure.
And every year that passes, that's a better and better position to be in. I feel like he
got better last year.
He did, and he's the best by far of all those New Jersey high draft picks. But, you know, and maybe it's his supporting cast that's the problem. But
we'll hang on to Beniers.
Yeah.
Just wish they partnered with
NBC or something. Yeah, you know, work something out with all the local.
Grubauer's horse can be the mascot.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yep.
Just a tentacle that comes out of the lockers and takes
a fan.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Just grabs a random.
Best Kraken coverage. Love your vibe and depth of coverage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eli. We appreciate that.
Gonna say good night. Good night, Creative Moxie. Totally get it.
It's almost midnight.
I know.
Yeah, like, also, thank you to all of you for sticking with us, like, till almost midnight. Like, I didn't even expect it. I figured we'd probably, you know, shut this down a while ago, but, like, you guys have kept this going really well.
Yeah, no,
so
it's
been
really great. And again, this is happening after every game. So
yeah, I mean, we'll be here. There's gonna be lots to talk about.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Hope the channel grows for you guys. Love what you're doing with the podcast post-game stream. Thank you so much.
You. Jolts. That's a cool name.
Yeah.
If it was Jolts with the lightning,
I like the blue on blue. It looks good. Thanks for the post coverage, guys. Got an SAT test tomorrow. Go Kraken. Good luck
with
that,
the SAT.
Ethan. Yeah, definitely get some rest before that one.
Yeah.
Beniers over Hughes. I agree. I also always probably take the guy that, you know, has more development time left than the known commodity. For a mascot, it has to be JP Patches and Gertrude.
Too young to remember. All right, Dylan, you're the older of the two.
That's not HR Puffin stuff, right?
Wait. Okay. Let's pull out the phone. JP Patches. This is a clown. This looks like a clown.
So not HR Puffin stuff.
Okay.
I don't know that
Ran
one.
from 1958 to 1981.
Yeah, but as far as I did bring up the revival of an old television show character in that video, though, if you do want to go check it out.
Yep.
Final predictions for goal songs. Been waiting on that game day experience video.
Oh, I knew we'd get called out on that.
Yeah. As far as the actual goal songs go, I don't know. There's so many to choose from. I know someone brought up Voodoo Childs in that Q&A that we had. I think that would be a good option. There's just a lot of music history in Seattle that I don't think you could go wrong with. I just hope it's not something kind of cliched, like, you know, they just choose like Lithium or something by Nirvana, and then they're like, hey, we did it. And it's like, okay. That's all I want to avoid.
It's like you said, the thing you want to do after a game is talk about it. You guys are going to see you next time.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Yep. We'll be here to talk after every game.
Expect me to show up for sure. Yeah. Thank
Some
you,
of these
Braun.
future. Thank you, Braun. Yeah, we appreciate the support.
Yeah. Excited for the Nashville game. Interesting test given their defensive focus. 100% agree that it's going to give their,
Sig Hansen from Deadliest Catch for Mascot.
Yeah, that would be great. And I haven't watched Deadliest Catch in forever, but I always thought it was hysterical that Sig was the only captain that didn't smoke, given his name. Always thought that was pretty ironic and pretty funny. I don't know if he's taken it up since then, though. The obvious one is Teen Spirit, right? Probably. I don't know that I would associate it with a goal song as much. I don't know, just the vibe of it and the lyrics. So that's why I went with Lithium. But yeah, I would say Teen Spirit is definitely the more well known and obvious Nirvana go to.
I'll still give you
an allowance. Where do we sign up? Nice one, Irish lad. They seem to be testing Lithium at the Rink Rush game.
Oh, that's right. They did play Lithium at those Rink Rush. I remember now. Yeah, I went to the two of them. That's what they had. Yeah. My mom liked that one. Yeah. Thanks for staying out until almost midnight on the stream, Mom. We appreciate it.
If anybody has, say, $120 looking at NHL Center Ice is what I've done. Yeah, that's no longer an option in the States because of the ESPN deal.
Oh,
Remember,
that's right.
It's all moved to ESPN Plus now. So I don't know where you are, Christmas 365, but in the United States, I don't know about Canada. Well, yeah, it shouldn't be in Canada.
Right.
But in the United States, because of the ESPN Plus deal, you get all the out of market games on ESPN Plus. It's $6 a month, or you can bundle it with Disney Plus and Hulu. Now, obviously, you're in Seattle, so you don't get the out of market Seattle game because you're in Seattle. I will just say that there are ways around that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
I don't know. Some very particular networking options. How's that? That can get you around.
And if any particular one might want to sponsor our videos, we can tell you what they are.
They tend to sponsor a lot of stuff on YouTube. That would be pretty sweet. But again, I also don't know if it's technically promoting something illegal. Yeah. So.
There you go.
Yeah, you got what I was.
I think you catch the drift. Yeah.
All right. Not Kraken related, but how do you think the Eichel situation ends up? He's going to be traded. I don't see that there's a way to salvage this. And
it looks like they're pushing towards a deal little by little. You know, whether it's releasing the medical information. I just think there are enough parties now that see that this is unacceptable and this can't go on much longer. I mean, Robin Lehner's, even talked about it, as we mentioned in an earlier podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, it just can't keep going on like this. And I think there's some team that's going to step up now, having seen his medical information. I think he gets traded, at some point soon.
Yeah. Oh, Christmas 365. You're from Michigan. It's available. Is that the cable package then? Center Ice, the cable package, and then NHL.TV was the thing that went away because of the ESPN deal.
That might have been it. Wait, NHL. Yeah, did he mention? What did he say?
He said Center Ice.
Center Ice. Okay, yeah, no, that's for TV. Yeah,
okay.
I think you can do that. Yeah, for NHL Center Ice. Yeah, it's $120. So, yeah, I think that's probably
okay. So,
yeah, NHL.TV went away.
Yeah,
that's right.
And again, that's ESPN Plus now.
Yep,
$6 a month.
Yep.
Predictions on who will lead the Kraken in goals this inaugural season. I love what I'm seeing from Donato and Geeky. I mean, right now, I'd lean Donato. I'd revise my pick.
Really? Okay.
Eberle or Schwartz, but from Xfinity.
I'm sticking with Schwartz. You know what? I'm sticking with Schwartz.
You know what? I think at some point Vince Dunn is going to go on a crazy tear on the power play.
Okay, that's bold.
Did Vince Dunn lead the team or tie for the team lead in goals for the preseason?
No, it was Jaden Schwartz.
Because he had 3. How many did Schwartz have?
Oh, you know what? Schwartz might have had 3, but I think it was either 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just saying, Vince Dunn came close during the preseason. Obviously, very small, obscure sample size, but it shows that it's possible.
Yeah.
I think we end up with a few 20-plus goal scorers, but nobody breaks 30. I could see that. I think Eberle is really the only guy on the team with a long history of being able to get around 30.
Yeah.
So, unless we have a William Karlsson kind of guy who comes in, maybe that's Donato or Geeky.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to end up with somebody super high, but the depth of scoring should be there. they always talk about the 20 goal scorers. I know for a long time when they were talking about Tampa, it was also their depth of 10 goal scorers. If you could get 10 goal scorers, that's a ton of guys. I think this team could do that just because of that depth. All right. Hope Vince done. Yes, you lovely goal scoring defenseman for sure. Good night, guys. Gotta get the kids to school tomorrow. Totally understand. I think we're gonna be heading off here soon.
Yeah, I think midnight's probably a good time to.
Why aren't we in on Eichel real quick?
Okay.
Don't really have the prospect pool to pull it off.
That's what it is. They want picks and prospects. Kraken don't have a ton of extra picks to spare. Only have the 7 draft picks from this past draft as far as prospects. Yeah, they just don't have, and you don't want to give up Beniers. So
you'd be giving up your first round pick in Beniers, and then your next first round pick. You'd be leaving yourself awfully thin as far as being able to replenish NHL talent.
Yeah. And the Kraken are on a good path. They don't need to do that.
Do any of the Kraken challenge for end of season awards? If you had to pick one, I don't think that we'll have a Hart Trophy candidate unless the team really goes on a tear. I don't think we're going to see anybody win like Rocket Richard or anything. Obviously, don't see a Norris. Maybe a Vezina.
I was thinking Vezina Grubauer potentially, or
was it the William Jennings?
Or Jennings for Grubauer and Drieger.
Yeah, as far as the lowest goals against average for a goaltending tandem, that would be the one that I would see being there for them. But yeah. Loved our third goal tonight. What a snipe! I rated up there with the
Fedorov snipe against Philly in the '98 finals.
It was a little bit of a knuckle puck. As far as it looked to be doing this a little bit in the air over itself, but it was a sweet shot. It was a great shot by Geeky. Odd place to take a shot from. I think it surprised Leonard, but that's what you got to do sometimes.
Agreed.
But this has been really, really awesome, everybody. We've enjoyed it a ton. This is exactly what we were hoping for.
Exactly. This went as well as we possibly could have imagined. So thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate it, especially the ones who stayed all the way till midnight into Wednesday with us.
Wednesday now.
And we'll be doing this after every Kraken game. So come join us. It's going to be a great time. And have a good night.
Any problem, any time, Braun. Sorry. It's Wednesday now. It was a travel day.
Yep.
Today is now a travel day for us. Yeah. All right. We'll see you all next time. Thanks, guys.